What a ball game for the Dodgers to come back and win. That was a game that it just looked like, I'm not going to lie, the Dodgers were dead in the water the entire time. Hey, Casey Porter here with Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Get all your friends on the buzz. Get them over here. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Tyler Glasnow and his situation. We're going to talk about WalkerBuehler, his performance tonight. We're going to talk about just the overall mentality of this team. We're going to talk about some of the decisions Dave made. We're going to talk about all of it. So let's get a great crowd logged into tonight here on a beautiful Sunday evening. It is 7:14 on the West Coast as the Dodgers just took down the Bravos in a game that they were trailing 2-0. WalkerBuehler was on the ropes, and I'll say this about WalkerBuehler, as we already have just a great crowd logging in. Good evening, Dodgers fans. Let's go, baby. What a game tonight, huh? I am so excited. And by the way, when they interviewed MookieBetts after the game, I was still on a kind of an adrenaline kick. And then they interviewed him, and it was like, it was just a game in the middle of July. And I'm like, that's why this dude always comes through, is because his heartbeat never races. And it's one of those deals to where it happened again. You walk Shohei Ohtani to get to MookieBetts. That's the fourth time that somebody has been intentionally walked in front of MookieBetts. I believe it's the fifth time I heard on the broadcast. That's the fourth time he's gotten a hit. I will say this. I don't necessarily blame anybody else for not pitching to Ohtani. Ohtani, if you remember, on an 0-2 count, looked terrible on his first two swings. What was that, the fifth inning? When the let me actually pull up that was in the seventh inning, I should say. Ohtani looked absolutely terrible on his first two swings, got down 0-2, and just gritted it up and figured out a way to get the bat on the ball. How many times have we talked, just put the damn thing in play? That's what Ohtani did, right? And he tied the game up 2-2 in the seventh. You felt pretty good about that, and I felt good about it until the eighth. Michael Kopech comes out, doesn't throw strikes. He finally throws a strike, and I mean, it is a cookie to Matt Olson. And I can't, they pinch hit. I can't remember the guy's name that they pinch ran for. Not pinch hit, they pinch ran for the rookie who just came up from AAA. And I know there's no outs, but that guy can run. It's just amazing to me that he did not score from first base. And I think if he scores there and the Braves take a 1-0 lead, that makes the at-bat from d'Arnaud a lot easier. Very surprised that Travis d'Arnaud chased the zone twice and really kind of gifted the Dodgers an out there in the eighth inning. So Michael Kopech, he bears down. He really kind of baits a really, really good contact hitter in Travis d'Arnaud into a strikeout, or into a pop-up, I should say, into left field. And then Orlando Arcia, he laid off one of the sliders. I'll tell you what, the Braves did a really good job of laying off some fantastic sliders from Kopech. But Orlando Arcia, he was always, so whenever you have a guy like that's antsy, he's wanting to do too much like Arcia, it's not necessarily the breaking pitches that always get him, because just from an instinct perspective, they might be able to pick up spin, and their instincts might be able to take over, and they might spit on it like Arcia did. But the pitch they can't lay off whenever they're antsy and you're trying to use their aggression against them is that pitch up in the zone. And when you have the spin rate that Michael Kopech has, and then also all the different break and the velocity, you are not going to hit that fastball up in the zone. d'Arnaud swung at, it should have been 2-1. The count to d'Arnaud, if you remember the 1-1 pitch, he swung at a pitch up in the zone, uncharacteristic of what he normally does. So it was 1-2 instead of 2-1, and that screwed the entire at bat up for him. The difference between 2-1 to a hitter versus 1-2 is like 250 points. And so for a very veteran, very good hitter, that's a contact hitter, that was very surprising. Nothing about the Arcia at bat surprised me. And Jared Kelenic, just bless his heart, Michael Kopech was just way too much for him. So that brings you to the conversation. Of course, if you're following me on Twitter, tonight, I was pretty active because I was pretty fired up about this game. Hey, this is a game to where early on, frustrating as hell, man. The Dodgers aren't hitting. They had scored 3 runs and then first, 22 innings of this series, and you're sitting there going, damn, man, we got Ohtani, we got Betts, we got Freddie Freeman, we got WillSmith, we got Teo's healthy again. I mean, we got our full lineup out there. What in the hell's going on, right? I mean, so you're sitting there, and that frustration is setting in. And my first tweet of the night was, okay, no doubt it's frustrating. There's nothing you can do about frustration setting in. But what you have to do as a team is to make sure that frustration doesn't turn into negativity and negative mannerisms and negative thoughts like, oh, woe is me. Well, we suck. Well, we can't. You just got to keep grinding and keep putting quality at-bats together. The biggest at-bat of the game, to me, obviously was the MookieBetts hit, no doubt. But in the 5th inning, the Dodgers were down 2-0. They were dead in the water, man. The Braves were getting ready to add on. No telling what was going to happen there. It was liable to be 3-4-0 before you looked up. And I'll be damned if Max Muncy doesn't come up and just have a hell of a good at bat. And almost it was like, okay, boys, we're not dead. Let's go. And so you got to keep that frustration from turning into negativity. And then just get gritty and grind out some quality at bats. Just have quality at bats. Max Muncy did that. The Dodgers cut the lead in half. You hear that term all the time. Hey, just cut it in half. Cut the lead in half. The Dodgers cut it in half, and to be honest with you, I felt pretty good at that time. And then Trinan goes out, so how many times have you heard me say, after you score, you got to put up a 0 that next inning. You got to keep that momentum. Blake Trinan goes out and does what a veteran, good pitcher like Blake Trinan is supposed to do. He puts up a 0. That gives the Dodgers time enough for Shohei Ohtani to get his base hit with an 0-2 count in the 7th inning. And then that brings us to the next decision of Michael Kopech. Actually, that was WalkerBuehler in the bottom of the 6th inning, and then Trinan through the bottom of the 7th after the Dodgers had tied it up. Yes, and that's, like I said, that's always huge. After you gain momentum and you tied up like that, it would just be completely demoralizing if you gave up the lead in the bottom half of that inning. So Blake Trinan came out and did just an awesome job keeping momentum, stringing a 0, and then that brings us to the Michael Kopech deal. If you follow Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, if you follow me at all, I have said so many different times that it's better if you use your high level. Hey, not always are the most important outs the last 3 outs. Sometimes the most important 3 outs are in the 6th inning. Sometimes they're in the 7th inning. Sometimes they're in the 8th inning. And most of the time, probably they are in the 9th inning. But I don't think any of us could disagree that the biggest 3 outs of the night were Michael Kopech. So if you take Michael Kopech and that gigantic fastball and you say, you know what, no matter what, we're just going to throw him in the 9th, to hell with the rest of the game, the Dodgers might lose tonight because he got the Dodgers to the 9th in a tie game, and by the time they had to bring in anybody else, in this case, Brusdar Graterol, they had a 7-run lead. There is no way that anybody can argue with the fact that bringing Michael Kopech in the 8th inning tonight wasn't the right decision, and it wasn't a great decision. So, hey, I know I'm on a little bit of a roll. That's fine. But the problem with all of and hey, whenever you're the manager of the Dodgers, Coach Holt and I talk about this all the time, having people complain and analyze every one of your moves and highlight every move that doesn't work, that comes with the territory. I get it. No problem with that. Hey, that's great. That's if you don't want that pressure, don't be the manager of the Dodgers. It's that simple. But the problem with the people that consistently complain about Dave Roberts, and any manager for that part, because every fan base, they complain about the same things. Football fan bases complain that their offensive coordinator, he runs the same play every time. He's not creative enough. He's too vanilla. Baseball fans, they complain that their manager never knows when to bring their pitcher in or take him out, that kind of thing. But the problem with that narrative, the only problem I have is, and this is why I try to do this on Dodgers Daily and have shows like this, is that those same people never bring up the times when the decisions actually do work. There's a reason why Dave Roberts has won so many games, including a World Series. And if he wins another World Series this year, which if the Dodgers win a World Series this year, that'll be one of the greatest managerial jobs of all time with all the injuries they've had. You got to give it up to him. Tonight was a awesome job. You bring in Andy Paez as a pinch hitter, he gets a base hit, right? And then the other manager makes the wrong mistake. See, you walk Shohei Ohtani, MookieBetts gets the hit. It leads to the 7 innings. So if I got no problems if you want to criticize Dave. I got no problems with that. He's a big boy. He's got big pants. If he didn't, he wouldn't be able to handle. If he can't handle that, he can't be our manager. So I got no problems if you want to criticize Dave. That's the spotlight he lives in. That's the job he took. But all I ask is, if you're going to do that, also recognize the games which are actually way more plentiful than the games that he makes the right decisions than the games when he doesn't. So, wow, what an amazing crowd we have logged in here on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Roy, good evening. The Blue Crew are strong, no doubt about it. Craig Osterberg, Gregory, our wonderful moderator, thank you so much for joining. Daniel Clark, what's up, Casey? What's up, Dodgers Dogs out there? No doubt about that. Boyd, Manny, thank you so much for joining from Chino, California, in the house. Big game tonight by the Dodgers, no doubt about that. Mr. Seabat, I love this team. Exploded when they needed to. Coach Holt and I covered this last week. I've never understood the narrative that this team doesn't fight, that they don't have grit, that they're too pretty. I've never understood that narrative. When you look at multiple, for teams that are trailing from multiple run leads, the Dodgers have come back several different times from that. They've had several different periods of their season to where it looked like tonight, after about the 4th inning, it was like, damn, this is kind of depressing, right? And then boom, they get gritty, they figure it out, they have a couple of nice at-bats, and they get him a win like this. Of course, having the amount of talent the Dodgers have definitely helps. I'm with you, Mr. Classic. Hell yeah, no doubt about that. Roy Estrada, I've been very critical of Buehler, but today he gets love. Thank you, Walker. We needed your best game today. I'll tell you this, too. WalkerBuehler loves the Dodgers. He loves being good. He loves shoving on the mound. And I'll tell you what, with the news of Tyler Glasnow, this may be a little bit too tinfoil hattish, but I'm telling you, I've been a player, I've been a manager, I've been in every part of the game of baseball, the psychological side of it, the physical side of it. When a guy like WalkerBuehler hears that Tyler Glasnow goes down, that's a challenge to him. WalkerBuehler now knows that he went from being somewhat of a question mark and a luxury, like he's on the being evaluated list, to, hey, Walker, have you heard the news? We got to have you, bro. We got to have you, brother. So that just changes the entire mentality to a dog like WalkerBuehler. WalkerBuehler now knows the Dodgers desperately need him to turn into WalkerBuehler. And I'll tell you what, it was a little frustrating because he was trying to throw the ball low in the zone. And because of that, he was fighting with his control. He was fighting with his command. And it wasn't easy for him. But that dude tonight gutted it out. He gritted it, and he figured out a way to get his team 6 innings, only 2 runs, and when he turned the ball over at the end of the 6th inning, the Dodgers were only down 1 run. I think it'll be interesting now that the news came down on Glasnow, how WalkerBuehler will step up for this team. He stepped up tonight. The Dodgers had to have him, and he did a great job, and because of that, the boys in blue came up with a huge win. Daniel Clark says, really pleased with Walker's performance. No doubt about that. NorCal Eddie, we needed that, no doubt. Daryl Jackson, a much-needed win tonight, no doubt. Nando, 390, they couldn't wait to clear Glasnow's locker until after the game. Yeah, that was weird, man. That was a weird vibe, Nando. I don't disagree with you. I don't know what was up with that. I'm not real connected I have some connections. I never ask about those kind of situations because that's just kind of not what I do. I'm more of like an analyst. I don't like to like pry into that kind of deal, but I'm totally with you right there, Nando. I thought that was weird. 7:15 on the best coast. No doubt about that. It is 9:30 where I live, and I'm going to stay up as long as I want to because there ain't no way I can go to sleep right now. I am so sky high about tonight's game. I am still on an adrenaline high. That was so much fun. Don't care we have to play. Play like it's your last. Hey, that's a great point, Mr. Classic. Tony Ordaz III. What does that mean for Glass now? Yeah, well, I mean, the news about Glass now has not been good. Mr. Seabat, you better walk Ohtani, and you better not walk Ohtani, no doubt. And I said it the other day. In our last live show with Coach Barikoff. I actually asked that question. If you're the other team, would you rather face Ohtani or Betts? I said it point blank. If I'm the Dodgers, I would rather have MookieBetts than Shohei Ohtani. And I said, hey, not because Ohtani's not awesome. I just think MookieBetts is awesomer. That was my exact quote on that, and I'll be damned if he doesn't come through again. MookieBetts is the man, no doubt about it. But I'll say this. I would trust Shohei Ohtani in that situation. And like I said the other day, I'm not sure Freddie Freeman isn't the guy I would really like to have up, so you can't walk Betts. That's why you have to have them back to back to back. So teams just have to pick their poison, and there is no right decision to make there. There's just maybe a less wrong decision, and so you pitch to Ohtani, and Mr. 50-50 hits one back to the moon. You look even dumber in that situation, or you look just as dumb, I should say. So there's really absolutely no good decision to make there. Mr. Classic Glass now out, so what? Play like tonight. No doubt. Hey, there's plenty of talent here. Yamamoto's plenty good enough. If Buehler rallies, it circles the wagons and pitches the way he's capable of, then Jack Flaherty throws like he has been, then you get a good bullpen game, or maybe a Bobby Miller or a Gavin Stone comes back or something like that, maybe even a Landon Knack, just gives you like a performance that they go 5 innings and they give up 3, maybe 4 runs, you're okay. You saw it tonight. You can be okay, right? So let's go. I mean, let's make no excuses. We still have Shohei Ohtani. We still have MookieBetts. We still have WillSmith. We still have Freddie Freeman. We still have Teo. We still have Max. We still have Gavin Lux. We still have Miguel Rojas. We still have TommyEdman. We still have Jack Flaherty. We still have WalkerBuehler. We still have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We still have a really, really resilient bullpen. There still probably is the best roster in baseball, even without Tyler Glass now. So let's freaking go, man. Let's concentrate on what we do have and quit belly aching about what we don't, right? And let's just go win a World Series. Why not? Why not the Dodgers? We saw it tonight. As you can't tell, I'm pretty excited. Wake up tomorrow. Hey, always, when you win a game like this, you celebrate, you enjoy the big win that evening, and then you tell your guys, hey, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to go have me a drink. I'm going to go have me a cigar. This is going to be a hell of a good time tonight. And then we wake up tomorrow, we can concentrate on tomorrow's game. But for tonight's show, we are going to enjoy and then celebrate a wonderful win for the Dodgers tonight. Mr. Classic, Kopech, player of the game, no doubt. And, hey, Delirium 9, thank you so much for joining Delirium 9. Walker has performed well against 2 playoff teams, Baltimore and Atlanta. That is a great point, Delirium. Not just against you-know-who. Walker has shown that he can be good against playoff teams over the past 3 weeks. So he's shown he can be good against good teams, and he's shown it recently. Maybe he's our number 3 star. I don't think there's any doubt. If he started right now, WalkerBuehler is the number 3 starter in the playoffs. I don't think there's any question about that. You go Yamamoto, Flaherty, Buehler. I think that's the rotation you have it right now. Roy Estrada, Casey, please talk about Lux and his indecisiveness at second base. Bases loaded, ball hit up the middle. Lux did not know if he should get it in front of the bag or back in. It looked to me like Lux had a hard time getting it out of his glove. That didn't look like indecisiveness to me. That looked like he just couldn't quite get it out of his glove because he couldn't quite figure out the angle he was going to get it back to second base with. Mr. Classic, oh my God, Kopech just wheeling and dealing with 100-mile-an-hour whiffing. No doubt about that. Orlando, good evening. Really needed this one. Ronell, 57, thank you so much for joining. He didn't score on Olsen's double because Mookie absolutely played it perfect off the wall and got it back into the infield. Absolutely did. Absolutely did. And with 2 outs, he scores there because he doesn't have to wait to see if it's down, especially if you're a rookie. The last thing you can do there is just take off, and then all of a sudden the ball doesn't go as far as you think it was going to. And all of a sudden the right fielder catches it. Now you're doubled off. You can't make that mistake with no outs. So he played it safe, and then Mookie made a great play. That saved the game, in my opinion, because I think the dynamics of the entire game change if the Braves take the lead there. Save Kopech. I'm scared for his arm. That's from Mr. Classic, Mr. Seabad. The Braves are playing for their playoff lives. Surprised they folded so bad late in the game. Go Dodgers. Yes, I don't know if they folded, Mr. Seabad. I think Michael Kopech just shoved. I mean, I think he was too much for them to handle. I don't think they folded there. I just think you got to give credit to Kopech. And then they got to the 2 outs, and then I just think you got to give credit to WillSmith for just stepping on one, and then give credit to MookieBetts. Now, I will say, I wouldn't say they folded. I think the needing to make the playoffs and playing for your lives is the reason why the bubble bursted so hard, because it was like, oh, man, that really sucked. I mean, there was so much on the line, the bubble just bursted. So I think having all that on the line actually caused that swing of emotions, which is why you never want to be emotional. That's why baseball coaches always say stay at an even keel, because if you're at a high, then if something doesn't work out, then your bubble's going to burst like we saw at the Braves today, and then you're going to be at a low, and you're constantly doing this, and those ups and downs are just, they're killers. So, hey, Craig Osterberg, Kopech hadn't pitched in a couple of days. He got his rhythm. Mr. Classic, Kopech is a fire-breathing dragon. Roy Estrada, another Lux indecision, was a ball hit to him. Bounce tie and steal. Lux has been really good, Roy. I'll say that. We need to get off of Lux and quit criticizing him. If you're criticizing Lux at this point, you have a confirmation bias, because Lux has been a great offensive player in the second half of the season, and he's been a really, really good defensive player all year. So to be honest with you, if you're criticizing Lux, especially after a game like this, that just goes to show that you don't like Gavin Lux no matter what he does. Yes, did he make a play tonight that we'd like to see him make? Of course. But yes, has he come up with some huge hits and some huge plays? Absolutely he has. Hey, what was Barnes' injury? I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't in tuned at that moment. I will get with that. That's the problem not having a partner, is I don't have time to look stuff up and get updates on all of that. Hey, Mr. Classic, Kopech, in the face of uncertainty, kept his composure and won. Well, it's easy to do that when you know you have the fastball that you can just rear back and throw it. And I'll tell you this, the Braves swung at that fastball up in the zone, out of the zone. If the Braves had just forced Michael Kopech to bring the ball down, you got to see the ball down. When you have a high rider like that, you hear it all the time, got to see the ball down, got to see the ball down. Because if you swing at that pitch up in the zone with this spin rate, you're not going to do it. So I think the Braves were a little bit antsy, and they helped him out quite a bit by swinging at that ball up in the zone, especially Travis d'Arnaud. I just did not expect that from him. Mr. Classic, it all starts with pitching. Hey, Ronell, 57, his toe again for Barnes. So there you go. It's the toe for Barnes. Roy Estrada, Casey Paez, 2 out. Pinch hit single was critical in the 5th. That was big. This is the reason he picked Paez over Kiermaier. Kiermaier can't pitch it. Wasted at bat. I don't disagree whatsoever with you there, Roy. And then also, because TommyEdman brings you that defense, the only reason Kiermaier's on the team is because you need a defense over Paez, because Paez isn't a very good defensive center fielder right now. Now that you have that defensive center fielder with TommyEdman, that really lessens the need to have Kevin Kiermaier on the team. So I think you go at the bat at that point. So, Roy, I totally agree with you about Andy Paez over Kevin Kiermaier at this point. Hey, Mike, our wonderful moderator, Mike, the 2 pitch clock violations by Atlanta didn't help either. Roy, this was satisfying win because the way we wanted. Buehler was outstanding. I love it, man. I totally agree with you there. What a wonderful crowd we have logged in. NorCal Eddie, Great analysis of the news for a drink and cigar. No doubt about that. Hey, NorCal Eddie, we are all celebrating, and the celebration will not stop until tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we will turn our attention to the next day, but not until then. Mr. Classic, 100% Kopech, willed his way and shoved it down Atlanta's throat, baby. Roy Estrada, can you explain why Merrifield was talking smack to Buehler when he threw a high pitch? That was not close to hitting him. Well, more likely to me, that's just emotions. That is a player that knows they're outmatched and a player that's not happy about being outmatched. And a lot of times that comes out as just kind of stupid emotions. And that's kind of the way I took that. And if I was Michael Kopech, the way that I took that would be, I've got this dude intimidated. I'm renting space in his head. I'm going to continue to throw the ball 170 miles an hour, and I'm going to strike his ass out. I would have seen that as weakness if I was Michael Kopech, and so I think he probably saw it that way, and away we went. So, hey, Carol S., thank you so much for joining. Game was so hard to watch until the offense finally woke up. Finally, no doubt about it. Going to say it again. I tweeted it even before the Dodgers started scoring. 22 innings, 3 runs, very frustrating. You can't deny frustration. But what you can do is you can block out negativity. You cannot have negative mannerisms. You can't have negative thoughts. You got to continue to think, we are the freaking Dodgers. We got the best baseball offensive roster in the game. Damn it, this ain't going to last much longer. Somebody put a quality at bat together, and let's freaking go win a game. That's the way you got to continue to think. That's the way the Dodgers continue to think. And Max Muncy had the nice at bat there in the top of the 5th inning, slugged a base hit. The Dodgers eventually came around and cut the lead in half. They're in the top of the 5th inning when Shohei Ohtani doubled on the drive to right center, and away we went. So, yeah, that was I thought that was good that the Dodgers fought back against that frustration, no doubt. Walker really showed his moxie tonight, just down on the walks. I agree, Brett. He was trying to throw the ball down the zone, and he's just not there yet to be that pinpoint yet. But somehow he found a way to grit through it, Mr. Classic. As long as the Dodgers show grit like tonight in D-back's second game, we are fine. Totally agree. Love the attitude. Way too many doomers as of late, Daniel. Not here, man. Hey, baseball is a tough game. There is a lot of failure in this game. If you dwell on the failures, you are going to be miserable. Again, yes, you're going to be frustrated. No, you can't give in to negativity. There is a big difference between those two, and the Dodgers do a great job of that. Craig Osterberg, I didn't know Edman had that much power. I didn't either, to be honest with you. You guys know that when we first picked him up, I was very questionable about that. Coach Barakoff was the same way. I was 1,000% wrong on TommyEdman, and I'm glad that I was. That dude is a 100% certified baseball player. I love watching him walk, and I agree, play baseball, I should say. And I agree, Mr. Classic. Hell yes, now let's kick some ass tomorrow. Roy Estrada, spot on. Let's freaking go. Kopech on fire, damn, 100 miles an hour. TommyEdman says, Willie Keevan, Eugene. TommyEdman has been awesome. I totally agree with that. Daniel Clark, I want an Edman jersey. He's an absolute dog, no doubt. I totally agree with that, Daniel Clark. Roy Estrada, this was huge after the Giants laid down for the Padres. Yes, 3.5 game lead. It could have been 2.5, and you don't want that thing to be under 3 when you hit that last series against the Padres. Tommy Tanks has been an awesome addition. Thanks for that comment, Andrews Fonseca, Dodger Blue 82. Betts is not scared of the moment. If you saw his interview afterwards, I mean, it was like he was taking a Sunday stroll in the park. It was amazing, and that was like less than 10 minutes after the game had ended. It was amazing how calm, cool, and I'm sitting here screaming still, and he was calm, cool, and collected. It's amazing to me. Definitely not scared of the moment, and his heart never raises. I trust Shohei Ohtani to expand the zone and get walked off the plate. Wilkervin and Eugene, Walker will step up in the playoffs. I agree. Hey, Roy Estrada, Casey, I believe it's injury-related and got him back to some treatment. Yeah, we'll see. Orlando, he got the feel for his breaking stuff his last few innings. That was nice to see, wasn't it, Orlando? And again, with the news of Glass now, WalkerBuehler knows he has to step up. I think he's still got that dog in him to do it. He did it tonight for his team. 6 innings, 2 runs, and gave his team a chance to win. Mr. Classic. If we don't have Glass now, so be it. Yeah, let's just kick ass. We've already read that comment. Mookie has last season to react. Mookie is ready for the postseason. RVD made improvements on Edman. Edman is incredible, says Mr. Classic. Orlando says, I love Edman. Glad to see Walker show signs of life, says Darren Shepard. We are going to need him. Casey, my criticism of Lux has nothing to do with liking Lux or not. Well, I'm just going to disagree with you on that, Roy. If you're bringing that up, you and I are going to disagree on the Lux deal. He's been a very good player all year. He wasn't very good offensively in the first half of the season. There's reasons for that. He's been good in the second half of the season, but there's no reason to criticize him and hey, Roy, you know I love you, and you bring your A game every time, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on that. That's a confirmation bias in my opinion, and so it is what it is. But let's talk about the beautiful win tonight for the Dodgers. It was fantastic. Again, when you look at all of the people that contributed, let's go up and down the lineup. Shohei Ohtani, he had the gigantic hit on the 0-2 count to score, what was it, the first run. MookieBetts, he only had 1 hit on the night, but he had the biggest hit there in the top of the 9th inning with 2 outs. We know all about that. Teo Hernandez also had the big home run that kind of poured things on, that made you feel good about it. TommyEdman had 2 more hits and played a really good center field. Max Muncy got a absolutely huge hit to lead, what was that, 5th inning? What inning? Well, yeah, the 5th inning off for the Dodgers when it looked like the Dodgers were down and out, no doubt about that. And then really the only guy that didn't look good tonight was Kike Hernandez. But I'll say this, that's Doc just trying to match things up and play with a sense of urgency. I think you have to be happy about that. WillSmith, he obviously had the huge hit to lead off, or not lead off the 9th inning, but to ring the double with 1 out in the 9th inning off the right center field wall. And that's a funky wall out there. I don't know why you make an outfield fence to where a ball can hit like that, and there's such indecision and indecisiveness on a hit like that. You got all those billions of dollars. I don't know why you would make a fence like that, but it is what it is. Kevin Kiermaier, again, 0 for 2. That goes to Roy's comment. Bring in Andy Pages. He gets a clutch base hit as a pinch hitter. I agree with Roy on that. I think if it comes down to Pages and Kiermaier, that's another reason why, like the other day, the comments were Taylor or Pages. That's not who's fighting for the roster spot. I think that roster spot goes between Pages and Kiermaier. I think Roy is 1,000% correct on that. So really, if you go through the lineup, the only ones that had a rough night were Kike Hernandez. Gavin Lux had a rough night. He went 0 for 1, although he did walk once, and then he made the play behind second base that kind of added fuel to the fire for Atlanta. Thank God, I don't know how Walker got out of that with just 2 runs. Not a good play by Lux, no doubt about it. It was a play the Dodgers needed somebody to step up and make a play, and instead of that, you get Lux making an error like that. So Lux didn't have a good night tonight. Kevin Kiermaier didn't have a good night. Kike Hernandez didn't have a good night. But beyond that, everybody else offensively, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teo, Edman, Muncy, WillSmith, Andy Pages, everybody contributed to this win. And whenever you're trying to overcome offensive struggles like the Dodgers had in the first 2 games in the first 4 innings of this game, that's what has to happen. It's called hitting is contagious. Somebody like Max Muncy go up and bang one, gets the momentum for your team. Hey, let's go, boys. Let's bang one into right field. Let's turn around to our dugout and go, let's go, boys. I'm tired of struggling. Let's get it going. Be the catalyst, and then everybody else feeds off of that energy. Next thing you know, everybody's hitting. Everybody's contributing, and it has become contagious. Andres Fonseca, fingers crossed that Gavin Stone recovers well. We need all hands on deck. I would totally agree with that. Mr. Classic, Stone will be back. You heard it first from me. I hope you're right, Mr. Classic. Hey, BC, they didn't have DeGrom, and Scherzer was terrible, still won. Hey, as we move back up here to some of the comments, I love it when they walk Ohtani, says Larry Partridge. Yeah, no doubt about it. Al of Minerva, the key to victory is Barnes getting hurt because that allowed WillSmith. I said it the other day, Will Smith, I think, is the key to this team. When Will Smith hits, it's hard for this team to lose because it extends that lineup. Mr. Classic, God help this Dodger team to victory. We want to see Dave win the World Series, bad or not. Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments. BC, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Mr. Classic says Stone is going to be back. Mr. Classic also says, y'all see now how hard it is to win a 162-game World Series. Sure as hell much harder than a 60-game World Series. Well, I mean, they played by the rules. They did what they're supposed to, and it counts the same as any other season would, in my opinion. Of course, we all want to win another one, and I do agree with your sentiment there, Mr. Classic. I think for Dave's sake, that if they did win this one this year, that would solidify the two, and there would be no argument to that. I think it would take away any of the negative Nancys out there that might want to argue that it's not legitimate. Darren Shepard, why is Pius swinging first pitch of that at bat with Will at third? Just a rookie that's trying to do something too antsy. The same reason why, it's a good question, Darren. The same reason why Travis d'Arnaud and Orlando Arcia swung at the Michael Kopech's fastballs up in the zone. They just let the moment get to them, and they just were a little bit too over-aggressive. Hey, Ela Shiva, thank you so much for joining. What a game. No doubt about it. Craig Osterberg, Rojas has been great. So nice to have Bazooka back. Hey, there's another one. So we went through all the offensive players, and every single one of them contributed. WalkerBuehler, fantastic. Blake Trinan came in and threw up a 0 after the Dodgers had tied the game in the bottom of the 7th. Michael Kopech, we talked about him throwing the 8th instead of the 9th. He was absolutely clutch, and then that was just a great situation to get the Bazooka back on the Major League mound. No doubt about that. That could not have worked out any better. And again, even if you don't like Dave whatsoever, you got to give it up tonight. Tonight, he pulled all of the right strings. Christopher Dodgers got off the mat today. WalkerBuehler showed fight and delivered more than what was asked. And I think that's a great point, Christopher, because I think when his team saw that WalkerBuehler acted kind of as a leader, like, hey, guys, honestly, I didn't have great stuff. I just found out a way to get through 6 innings. I got better as the game went on. Hey, I left you guys with a chance to win. Now, damn it, let's go do it. I think that kind of fed some positive momentum and energy into the Dodgers when they saw what WalkerBuehler did for them. So I thought that was a big factor too. BC 4 rounds of playoffs in 2020 versus 3 now. So there's arguments to be made either way. I think in some ways the argument can be made that 2020 was harder to win than this year. And I know when I talked to Joe Kelly, just go back to my interview with Joe Kelly, that was actually his exact quote about it. Casey, say we don't get back any other pitchers and we go with what we have. Flaherty, Yama, Buehler, Miller, how do you see the Dodgers doing in the postseason? It's all going to come down to the offense. I think Yamamoto will be fine. Flaherty will be fine. I think Buehler's going to be good enough. I think a bullpen game or Miller, whatever, if you just win 50% of those games, that's the thing. If Yamamoto and Flaherty do their job and then Buehler's good. So if Yamamoto and Flaherty win their games, really all you got to do is win out of the rest of your pitchers. You only need to win 50% of those games. So if you go 2-0 in a series, then you go 3-1. See how that works? So you don't need greatness out of 3 and 4. What you do need greatness out of is Flaherty and Yamamoto, and those two are definitely capable of being absolutely great in the big moments. So I think the Dodgers are just fine. And again, I'll say this one more time, and I know you're not doing this, but Dodgers fans particularly need to focus on and support what the Dodgers do have instead of sitting around and complaining and maybe even whining at times about what they don't have. You can't do anything about Tyler Glass now. You can't do anything about all of the other injuries the Dodgers have had. It is what it is. What you can do is concentrate on the roster you do have, which, by the way, still has 3 Hall of Famers, which, by the way, still has WillSmith, Teo Hernandez, Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, Miguel Rojas, TommyEdman, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, WalkerBuehler. It's still a roster that's pretty damn good and really, really, really totally capable, if not favored, to win the World Series. So let's focus on what we do have, and let's freaking go do it, right? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Hey, Kenny Chung, no other post-game shows? Really? Surely I'm not the only post-game show tonight. Hey, been a long time since I've been in this channel. Kenny Chung, welcome back. I'm so glad that you came back. Dodgers won the season series versus Atlanta 4-2. Hey, Freed can't wait to come to L.A. Mr. Seabad, Dave Roberts for president. Yeah, he had a good night tonight. Elis Shiva, Casey Porter has the best Dodger stream on YouTube. Well, I can't tell you how much that means, Elis Shiva. Thank you so much for those wonderful comments. Mr. Classic, if the Dodgers win this year, y'all better throw the biggest parade and have Dodgers flags on your cars, no doubt. I think we all will. That would be an exciting time. LC offense and no errors. BC Dodgers need to average over 5 runs a game in October. I wouldn't disagree with that. Hey, average 5.61 in 2020. There's your proof right there. That's the standard. Over 5 runs averaged per game in the postseason. BC, A-game stuff. That's why I always say Dodgers Dawgs, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, doesn't have the biggest crowd, but it definitely, easily has the best conversation going about Dodgers baseball. Thanks for those wonderful comments, BC. Kenny Chung, there was an error in this game. It was on Lux, yes. Elis Shiva, TommyEdman has shown why he has an excellent signing for 2 years. Yes, no doubt about that. Mr. Classic, better see all the blue LA flags. Lux also had a big walk. Yes, so he did contribute. There you go. Steven, too, well said. Daniel Clark, facts coach, love this Dodgers team. I do, too. So, hey, it is 9:55 on, as far as my time goes. It's 7:55 on the West Coast. The Dodgers won a huge game today, and their schedule, they have one more game with Atlanta. I'll tell you, we said we weren't going to turn to tomorrow, and we won't for long, but this is, in my opinion, a pretty big stretch for the Dodgers because as we wind this thing up, one more game tomorrow. Again, just a reminder, that's at 4:20 Pacific time. That's 6:20 my time, 4:20. So take your radio to work or your phone or whatever you listen on. And then you have the Marlins. So if you can win tomorrow, okay, you can maybe get back a 4-game lead, especially if the Padres lose. I think if you can just win tomorrow and just have the 3.5-game lead, that's fine. You play the Marlins 3 and the Rockies 3 before you take on the Padres. If you just go 4-2, 5-1 in those series, I don't see the Padres even coming into Los Angeles that last series even with a shot to get to catch the Dodgers in the NL West. Now, here is the biggest deal, and the biggest part of today I think Dodgers fans aren't talking about is the fact that the Diamondbacks walked off the Brewers. Now, just kind of on the surface, you think, well, the Diamondbacks are in the NL West. That's not a good thing for the Dodgers. Well, actually, the Dodgers are going to beat the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks aren't catching the Dodgers. Okay, the Dodgers have the tiebreaker against the D-backs. The D-backs are not a threat, in my opinion, to the Dodgers. So I was rooting for the D-backs because I want the Dodgers to finish ahead of Milwaukee because I don't want to play in that wild card. Rockies always play us well. Yes, they do. No doubt about that. But still, they're not a very good team, and the Dodgers will have a lot on the line, and that Rocky series is at home. So, I mean, and I'll say this, if you can't beat the Marlins and the Rockies, then you don't deserve to win the National League West anyways. So, it really, tomorrow, I think, is a gigantic game. I think it's a game to where if you come out and you win that game, you've done what you've needed. Not to say you never coast, but you really have put in a stranglehold on just about, well, definitely put a stranglehold in the West. I think you've taken care of probably the Brewers at that point, and then it would just be, can you catch the Phillies, which I think is really the big conversation to be had. Time to go fishing, sweep the Marlins. I like that, Mr. Seabat. I hope the Mets and Braves surpass San Diego and Arizona. Yes. Hey, Kayatone, thank you so much for joining. When did the offense finally land in Atlanta? Well, that'd be the 5th inning. When, by the way, Max Muncy put a great at-bat together and spiked one into right field. And then Shohei Ohtani hit the double. And the Dodgers cut that lead in half. Hey, Kenny Chung, Brewers were sneaking into the number 2 best record in the NL for the first round bye. Yeah, they got beat today. I was glad to see the D-backs walk them off. Mets, shortstop got hurt today. I saw that. That's tough for them. I was torn on the D-backs of Brewers in that slobber knocker. I was squarely rooting for the D-backs. That was a no-brainer to me for the reasons that I just gave. And whenever you look at, let me actually type this in here and get to what I'm trying to get to. NL West standings right here. So the Dodgers have a 5-game lead over the Diamondbacks. That's with the Diamondbacks winning today. That's with 6 games left, and your next 7 with the Rockies and Marlins. And you have the tiebreaker of the D-backs. You need to root for the D-backs to beat the Brewers. I don't know how many more times they play them, but I was squarely rooting for the D-backs, so that worked out very, very well. Hey, Syed Norizman, just glad we won. Yeah, I am too. So with that, hey, we're going to have the Oklahoma City Baseball Club won a nice game today. Joe Kelly pitched. So did Tony Gonsolin. Tony Gonsolin gave up 2 runs in 2 innings. Joe Kelly looked awesome. I saw it with my own eyes, and he was really, really dirty today. So there's Joe Kelly. I don't think this year Tony Gonsolin's even a factor, but Joe Kelly I think is. So there is another high leverage arm that if he keeps throwing like he did today, now I know it was AAA hitters, but I'm telling you, he was dirty. He was different. I mean, he was different today. He looked dirty today. There's another high leverage guy that you can have for your bullpen for situations like today. So, hey, what once looked so just kind of down in the dumps, you hear about Tyler Glass now. The offense isn't scoring. You've lost 2. All of a sudden, you bang out a good win. You're going to get Joe Kelly back. You got 6 out of your last 7 against cellar dweller type teams, and things are looking up. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be time for the playoffs, and away we go. So the Tulsa Drillers finished their season this year. My beautiful bride of 25 years and I went to Wichita Friday, and we got to see them play. They finished today. Oklahoma City has 1 more week in Tacoma, and they will be done, and then that will conclude everything. So I'm going to have 1 more Down the Farm show, and then I'm going to concentrate all of my efforts on the Los Angeles Dodgers until the end of the World Series. I will not have any more prospect coverage until probably the World Series is over. I say that, but I'll get antsy, and I'll have to probably put out something. Austin Brubaker will be back next week. We'll also have Coach Barikoff and Coach Holt. So there is a lot to talk about. Again, I will be tweeting every single game like I did tonight about the Los Angeles Dodgers. That I'm actually available. I take Monday nights off. My wife and I, my beautiful bride of 25 years, we're going to go watch Reagan tomorrow night, the movie. I'm excited about that. Monday night is our date night, so I know they play early, but I will not be catching the Dodgers game tomorrow in live time. I'll have to catch that when I get home, and then we'll have a show with Coach Holt Tuesday morning, and it will be all concentrated after my next Down the Farm about the Dodgers. So, hey, make sure and become a follower of Dodgers Daily Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that, because I'd love to talk to you while the game's going on those social media platforms as we tweet it out. So, hey, this has been a great show. What an incredible crowd we've had tonight here on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Was going to have Coach Barikoff on. He had some boosters that came over to the house, so he's been visiting with them. Was going to have Tim Rogers on. Tim Rogers woke up this morning and didn't feel good, so I ended up by myself. Hopefully to have Tim Rogers on next Sunday, though. So until next time, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and say it's a great day to be a Dodger.